Item next. Seth, House File 526. Got an amendment on that one? Welcome, Representative Seth. And I will move House File 526. Is the HO526A1 amendment an author's amendment, sir? Is the amendment yours?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I will move the amendment, the H0526A1 amendment. Any discussion? Just to get the bill in the shape the author like. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? The amendment is passed. So two-year bill as amended, sir.
Thank you, Chair David, Chair Gomez, and members of the House Tax Committee. Thank you for allowing me to present House File number 526. And also thank you, Representative Kozlowski, for being a co-author on this bill, which establishes annual fire and ambulance special district aid. In my district, the Cloquet Fire District was formed in response to the co-sharing issue of providing ambulance service, as well as the challenge of providing ambulance, fire, and rescue emergency service in greater Minnesota. Their efforts have resulted in operational sustainable organization that has combined administrative, operations, and training of 4 separate fire departments. For example, through the regional approach of public safety, the district has reduced the fleet originally needed to provide coverage to the area by 5 large fire trucks. Additionally, these efforts have resulted in the area of insurance service ISO rating, which is actually a number 3, the entire district, which substantially lowers the rates for members in that district. The fire district plays a significant role in Carleton County public safety with a 24-hour highly trained staff and advanced life support ambulance. Intercepts throughout the region and districtly routinely responds to complex rescue, firefighter incidents as support of surrounding fire departments. While their model is one of operational success, fire district leaders do have concerns regarding the lack of funding available to ensure long-term sustainability as the unintended consequences of forming a fire district. Under current legislation is the lack of state funding support. Fire districts like Cloquet Fire Area District did not benefit from $300 million recently issued in public safety aid and currently does not receive annual aid from the state to assist operations of major capital expenses such as facilities. This legislation before you today establishes annual fire and ambulance special district aid. Colleagues, it is imperative that lawmakers recognize that ambulance and fire special districts provide solutions to many regional challenges regarding ambulance and fire emergency services, and that they honor that recognition by creating a pathway to ensure state funding that is not withheld due to lack of applicable legislation. Joining me today in support of this bill is Cloquet Area Fire District Chief Jesse Boss and Bruce Blackletter Jr. From the Fond du Lac Band, who will further illustrate the tangible benefits and urgent necessity of implementing this legislation.
Thank you. Before you start that down, Representative said this is Cloquet, and then who else would be added in? It'd be, who else would be added in? The Ojibwe, and who else?
Fond du Lac Band.
Fond du Lac Band.
Fond du Lac.
So it's just the 2, or is there more?
I'll have the chief speak on behalf of that.
Okay, okay. I will get some testimony here because what I want to know is of the groups that would be part of this fire district, what are their ISO ratings now? And you said Cloquet's a 3, which is very high, but the Fond du Lac Band of Ojibwe, is there's a 8 or a 7 or? Well, let's get some testimony here. That's kind of where I'm going with this. Please state your name and who you represent for the record, please, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Jesse Buse, the Fire District of the Cloquet Area Fire District. And Mr. Chair, would you like me to take a shot at answering that question first, or would you like to?
Let's answer the question first.
Okay. And so the Cloquet Area Fire District was formed in 2009, so this is less about establishing a new special district as it is about an aid bill for existing special districts, and then any that will form under the legislation established in 2021, the 144F.01. And so regarding the ISO rating, City of Cloquet had a lower ISO rating, which many times will impact your homeowner's insurance rates. It'll lower those rates for those that have the lower ISO rating. And so the larger impact to ISO was the communities that joined our district, the more rural communities, the ones that have a smaller fire department or less equipment. And so collectively, the entire area served by the Cloquet Area Fire District has an ISO rating of 3 today, when previously it was many times a 6 or all the way up to a 9.
Down to 9, okay. Please state your name and who you represent for the record, please, sir.
Again, Mr. Chair, members, my name is Jesse Buse, the Fire Chief of the Cloquet Area Fire District, and Representative Dotseth did an excellent job of kind of highlighting some of the testimony that I was prepared to give as well, so I'll try and kind of skip through that. But I do appreciate you giving us a few minutes to discuss this very important bill establishing fire protection and ambulance special district aid. I would like to thank Representative Dotseth for his leadership on House File 526 and Representatives Kozlowski, Skraba, and Pete Johnson for their role as authors and advocates. Having bipartisan support demonstrates that you all understand that an effort to consolidate fire and ambulance services into special districts will be the future for much of our state. In 2021, the legislature passed a bill that allows multiple fire departments and municipal ambulance services to combine into a unified district, and that again is 144F.01. When you eliminate municipal boundaries, they're no longer a factor in the provision of emergency services. You can take a regional approach, and that allowed us to do what Representative Dotseth said and eliminated 5 large firefighting apparatus, 1 fire station. You eliminate multiple different administrations, training programs, response protocols, et cetera, and it all becomes combined and more efficient under one special district. Again, I'm going to skip through some of the points Mr. Representative Dotseth made. So we deliver service to 275 square miles with our ambulance, about 70 square miles for fire and rescue response. We serve areas that are cities, rural townships, heavy industry, the Fond du Lac Band of Lake Superior Chippewa Reservation, as well as a heavily traveled I-35 corridor through Carleton County. When a special district is created, they're separated from many decades or even 100+ years of financial planning and the accumulation of reserve funds through the city or the township that those departments existed under. A newly formed district has immediate operational expenses, looming capital expenses, and more costly items such as facilities replacements to fund and consider. A major challenge we face as a special district in Minnesota is the limitation in funding opportunities. Representative Dotseth highlighted how none of the $300 million in public safety aid made its way to us as a special district. It was distributed out to cities, not specifically special districts like ours. We can't apply for certain state grant funding opportunities as a special district, and no system accounts for the impact of non-taxable government-owned land on our tax capacity. We didn't receive CARES or ARPA assistance from the federal government, as another example. And we do apply for any grants that we're able to apply for. And we did receive the emergency ambulance aid last year, and it was a very helpful aid to our organization as the holder of an ambulance license in the state of Minnesota. So thank you, legislators, for that. Over the last couple of years, we've worked with legislators to establish annual funding for fire and ambulance special districts. So this is a conversation that's been going on for a little while now. And the idea is to impact or lessen what's seen as an insurmountable economic barrier in establishing a new special district. Many areas across the state have been investigating these special districts. I get phone calls and emails quite frequently from communities ranging from the suburban metro area all the way to the far corners of our state. And they're looking for solutions to create a long-term sustainability to the challenges they see in providing fire and EMS services. They're watching closely to see what actions our legislators take to support the creation of fire and ambulance special districts. And one more point I wanted to make in my testimony is that sometimes you have to brace something, sometimes you have to prop it up to maintain an important service like fire and ambulance in the state of Minnesota. But we need to, along with some of these one-time monies, we need to invest in a long-term solution, a sustainability, if you will, for fire and EMS in our state. Minnesota should encourage the formation of fire and ambulance special districts, support their creation, and work to remove the roadblocks for communities willing to innovate and build a more efficient and sustainable service. And again, Mr. Chair, Madam Chair, the representatives, this is essentially what this bill will help do. I firmly believe we'll look back at this point in our history a number of years from now and see special districts becoming more common. We'll be able to enact efficiencies throughout the state, create some longevity and sustainability in many ways. And Mr. Chair, am I doing okay just to make a couple more quick points?
Sure.
Okay. I spoke with Representative Warwis at length just a few days ago, and we covered a broad range of topics, how our special district was formed, talked about some of the challenges in the state, and Representative Warwis asked me about, it was kind of a buzzword in fire and EMS right now, and it's resiliency. And we talked a little bit about what it means for our members, our firefighters, our EMS providers, our medics, our EMTs, and resiliency just allows you to go out and answer a difficult call, come back, and then do it again the next time we're called to help a member of our community, a member in our state. And to build resiliency, you need good physical health, good mental health. You need programs within your organization that support your staff. And what I'd like to see us invest in as a state is resiliency in fire and EMS. And that would be a bill, a program such as this that helps provide a catalyst for these special districts to form, to find sustainability, to find long-term success in the state. And then one other real quick point, Minnesota Statute 144F.01, which I mentioned a couple of times, it requires that the governing board is comprised of elected officials from the member communities of that district. And so within that requirement, it brings transparency, it brings stewardship from those elected officials, the responsibility to ensure that the impact of this bill is to lower the tax levy in that district. And so I can assure you from my position, Mr. Chair and members of the committee, that we do take that very seriously, and our goal is to lower that tax levy. And so even if there is an infusion of state aid into our system, that will in turn allow us to lower that impact on our local residents, and I think that could be replicated throughout the state. So, Mr. Chair and members, thank you.
Thank you. Let's go to the next testifier, and then we'll, if you could stay with us there, Chief. Okay, please state your name and who you represent for the record, please, sir.
Mr. Chair, members of the committee, my name is Bruce Blackner Jr. I'm a Fond du Lac band member and the Emergency Management Director for Fond du Lac. My testimony is thank you for the opportunity to testify today in support of this bill. Fond du Lac currently does not field a structural fire team. We field a wildland fire team, which would not allow us to fight structural fires. We contract with CAFD, work closely hand in hand with CAFD on a number of projects, and oops, I forgot something. Can I go backwards a little bit? Fond du Lac has a long history of ensuring the safety and well-being of our community members as well as our neighbors. We understand firsthand the importance of properly funded emergency services that are the first and last line of defense in life-threatening situations. Fond du Lac works closely with all of our state, local, and regional partners as best we can, and Fond du Lac contracts with CAFD and has a close relationship with CAFD to provide this service. As the CAFD is successful, Fond du Lac can continue to remain safe and well protected. We urge you to advance this bill to assure fire protection EMS services, especially in rural, tribal, and other underfunded areas, receive the support they need to save lives. I'd like to say miigwech you all for this time.
Thank you, sir. Questions, Representative Warwas?
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Representative Dotseth, for bringing this bill forward, and to your testifiers. I did have a very good conversation with Chief Buse, and very nice to meet you as well today. The fire district piece, and by the way, the Cloquet Area Fire District borders the southern part of my district, and so I know they also are doing work there as well. And the fire district piece is something that, just talking about that alongside of this bill, the funding part of it, we're in a very rural part of Minnesota, and there's just so many unique challenges there. And so we have a lot of great volunteer fire departments like in my district, but the resources and the volunteerism, like the ratings, you can't reach the ratings that these folks have been able to get to. So I applaud the organization. We've done a lot of legislation recently that has been passed to fund rural EMS, but we haven't yet solved the overall crisis of funding and staffing those services in most of rural Minnesota. So I just applaud you for taking that huge step and also for trying to find a way to get it funded because it's very effective. It's not necessarily going to be cheaper for folks, like you say, but when someone calls 911, they expect folks to show up. And in rural Minnesota, there's less and less folks to show up. And so I just want to say thank you for bringing this bill and for your hard work on it.
Thank you, Representative Warwas. Anyone from the audience wish to testify on behalf of the bill or with concerns? The department wish to testify? Okay, thank you. Okay, so questions from members. Representative Hewitt.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And to the testifiers, and I'm going to make a statement here, and maybe you can add on. Fire and EMS districts are two different things. In your case, you combine them into one. We looked at these extremely closely as we're looking at the challenge of funding EMS. In fact, I think Representative Backer's in a press conference yelling about this right now. Getting texting on it. This is a really, really big challenging thing because the concern with your particular district we looked at real closely was, do you have the tax base to support what you really need? And maybe you might, but other places around the state definitely do not. And it'll put a burden on our taxpayers even more. We as legislators, unfortunately, are in a bad year, but we as legislators really have to look at funding these sources. Your source really is public funding. The other one's more complicated because it involves insurance dollars and stuff like that, but we have these failing all over the state. And we have to figure this out. I appreciate you stepping forward on this and helping us make some decisions, and I know you're looking for every possible option, but I don't want legislators to hang on this being the only option. I believe you had some trouble with doing this before county commissioners, but now it looks like they're all in support. When you went before, did your county commissioner slow you down at all, or?
Fire Chief.
Might have been a few years ago.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And Representative Hewitt, I am not aware of any opposition by county commissioners, but that may have been before my time as fire chief. And to your point, we do have the full support of the Carlton County Board and the St. Louis County Board as well.
And
Representative Hewitt?
Thank you, Chair. I see that, and that's really good that they're there now. But again, I think we're going to have, when we come into counties and say, is there any way you can help us with this, their coffers are dry too. And so it's really a challenge, and it's a challenge that's going to be put before us for the next few years. We want to help. We want to help because we know the dire need. And the other thing is about your district, it's not just you, your citizens in that district that you use. That highway that goes through there, your ambulance is out there all the time. That you have a lot of cabins and stuff like that, or people in my district. So we need to figure this out. This is a statewide issue. I appreciate you coming forward, and I hope we can do something here. Thank you, Chair.
And thank you, Representative Hewitt, for all the work you've done in the past on this very issue. Other questions? Okay, we'll wrap it up here. Chair Gomez?
Yeah,
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, Representative Kozlowski.
Chair Davids, thank you for, I just wanted to chime in quickly and thank Representative Dotseth and to our testifiers, Chief and from Fond du Lac Reservation for your leadership and work. I know I have been out to tour and visit, and we've been engaged in a lot of conversations similarly. This borders our district, our fire department in Duluth. We share resources. We're working across communities. I also grew up in Esco and Cloquet, Esco Carlton, and Greater Minnesota. We stick together, and I think this is an example of, when everybody's responsible, then nobody's responsible sometimes. And so I think just, putting out there that the challenges and the unique situations that we're facing in Greater Minnesota, and it being with our tribal nation, Medicaid, I mean, really high rates of folks and the reimbursement rates, there's a lot of challenges. All of those things that play into this. I know you're also seeking bonding dollars, and, added strain on communities because there's an aversion to fund and support those types of projects. And so I just want to put a plug that whether it's this or it's another solution that comes forward and how to work through the issues that the cities, when they got their LGA, aren't flowing in, like you mentioned, the CARES dollars and other things. And so I just want to chime in and add my voice to working together to find a solution and solve for this and get ahead of it. So thank you.
Thank you, Representative Kozlowski. Any other comments from members before we go to Chair Gomez? Chair Gomez.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair, and thanks to the folks who are working on this, including Representative Hewitt. I guess, so this is like a very specific and targeted solution to a really broad, statewide, wide-ranging problem. And, I guess I just wanted to say that it's like, you know, this is a proposal to kind of do a little thing for a specific area that's actually been granted a tool that a lot of other areas in the state don't have, levy authority. That's, you know, something that obviously the state has to grant. We need to find kind of more comprehensive solutions, because doing sort of one-off patchwork responses is just, it's not going to, you know, actually get us to the point where we have a comprehensive system that works across the state, which is what we actually need. So thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Chair Gomez. Just a couple thoughts here. Do you have any endorsements from like the Fire Chiefs Association or the State Firefighters Association? Representative Dotseth, do you have
Chair, I'll
any of
turn
those?
this over to my testifier, but I believe in your packet you should have some letters of recommendation as well. And I believe my testifier actually had a comment he wanted to share, final comment he wanted to share as well.
Okay, we've got the packet right here. I apologize for that. And to the fire chief, so you're saying that the entire fire district currently, so you got the smaller towns in there and you got Cloquet, they're all an ISO rating 3?
Correct. Yep.
Wow, how'd you do that?
You know, it's Mr. Chair, it's just through resource allocation planning and resource availability, and by combining all of those different fire departments, we're able to put ourselves under one umbrella in regard to the ISO review, and so we were able to successfully lower it for much of our district.
That's amazing. Representative Dotseth, would you like to wrap it up?
Thank you, Chair. David's final comment, I think, pretty much stated right here. The testifiers, I mean, the heart is really into the community, and they've really done an excellent job. We've got bipartisan support across the aisle from legislators, as well as community support. This is a good bill, and I appreciate you moving this forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Dotseth, and to the fire chief and to Mr. Blackletter. I'll renew my motion that House File 526 as amended be laid over for possible inclusion in the omnibus tax bill. Thank you, all of you.